What I'm about to tell you could change your dating experiences, your texting experiences, and take it to another level. So make sure you listen and really tune in to the key elements that I'm about to discuss with you. Dating, texting has always been a headache. I've been there. I know how hard it is to think of what to say, to overthink what you're about to say, to really focus on the wrong details. Should I text her in 24 hours? Should I delay my responses? Should I talk about this? Should I talk about that? And it's really confusing. It's really frustrating. And so, in this video, I'm going to talk about three things. Just three things that I think you should focus on to really get the dates that you really want, get the dates that you need, and make texting 10 times easier than it should be. So, the first thing is pretty straightforward, but it's maintaining and making sure that you have a social life outside of you going on dates, outside of you texting and finding matches on apps such as Hinge or Tinder. Make sure you have a social life. And what that means is not giving away your full attention, your full focus onto texting, and making sure you're doing things outside of your phone that are enjoyable, such as going for a walk, going to the gym, doing a hobby that you enjoy. Make sure you don't give away your whole power and your whole life away to texting and going on dates, because the moment you do so, the moment you give away a large part of who you are to that aspect of dating and texting, what happens is you lose yourself. You start overthinking. You no longer act authentic. You no longer are real. And if you're going down that path, of not being real with who you are, feeling like you're losing yourself, feeling more and more frustrated, and feeling more and more stuck, and putting yourself down, feeling insecure, then the chances are you should start now. Stop texting, stop dating, and focus on yourself. Focusing on who you want to be when you're finally in a relationship. Do you want to be that person who just follows your future partner around and does what she says and tags along and has no social life, has no real life of their own? Because if that's the person you want to be, fair enough, go for it. But a lot of times when you go down that path, you lose yourself, you lose your personal power, you become more insecure, you develop low confidence. And to avoid that, start now practicing being yourself, not giving away your power, and practicing enjoying the things in your life right now that you can enjoy. Especially when you're dating and you're texting someone for the first time, you don't want to give away your personal power, because there is a chance that the person you're texting could lead to nowhere, but there's also a chance that it could lead to somewhere. And if it does lead to somewhere, you want to approach that person and be real with that person, be authentic with that person. And the more authentic you can be in real life, the more you can be real with that person, and the more chance that person could be a better match for you. Because again, you're going to be attracting who you are. Or what I should say is, you're going to be attracting someone who aligns with who you really are, as opposed to you being someone you're not and aligning with someone who thinks you're someone you're not. Because if that's the case, if they start thinking that you're someone you're not, then they fall in love with that person, and when they find out who you really are, all of a sudden the relationship breaks down and there's a lot of miscommunication. To avoid that, start being real with yourself and start living your life the way you want it, but equally give space, perhaps a couple of hours in the evening, perhaps some time on the weekend, whenever you can carve out that time. Give that space to dating, to building that relationship, but not your whole 24/7 self. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is to stop overthinking. And it sounds so simple. How do you just stop overthinking? And one way to do that is to make sure you're living out your hobbies, doing things that you enjoy outside of dating, outside of texting, But also, number two is when you do text, you have to practice being real. You have to get to the point straight away. You have to stop sugarcoating what you say. And a lot of times people are doing this and they're coming across as either desperate, they're people pleasing, and a key thing to really focus on here is the emotion at which you're texting. And it sounds so silly. How can your emotions affect your texting? But actually, they can. If you're overthinking what to say and you're worried about what the other person is going to say, you're going to overthink. You're going to feel uneasy within yourself. You're going to feel frustrated. You're going to feel scared. You're going to feel anxious. And so it's important to approach texting from a place of feeling calm, balanced, and not over emotional. And when you're not over emotional, when you're not overthinking, what you are is essentially at peace, balanced. And stop overthinking. What would help is if you focus a few days, a few minutes per day meditating, focusing on your breath, focusing on the present moment. The more you do this, it's hard initially, but the more you do this, the easier it's going to be for you to text from a place of not overthinking, not being too emotionally attached. And when you text from that place, it's a lot more easier, you'll find, to come out with a more funnier response, to come out with a response in general even. So, tip number two is to stop overthinking, and the method that I'm going to get you to start doing that by is really focusing on the present moment, practicing mindfulness, meditation, any of these elements, but taking it in and really focus on being in the moment when you're texting. And if you find yourself in your head frustrated, overthinking, then you're most likely going to send a message that you regret or doesn't lead to anywhere. Make sense? And tip number three is if you're frustrated, if you don't know what to say, if you really don't know what to say, because I've been there where I've looked up lines online of what to say, I've copied other people's responses that I've seen online. And if you're that person, don't be that person, because again, you're being fake. But what you can do is talk to someone that you know, a friend, a family member, and maybe share with them, someone you trust, but share with them the message that you're about to send to that person. And you could even, if you feel confident, share that conversation and see what the other person thinks. And the key thing here is you're not thinking about the best thing to say, you're not getting a response from that person that you're sharing this message with and telling them, what do you think? What should I have said? Instead, share them the message and ask them, does this conversation seem authentic? Does it seem real? Does it seem like it's flowing? Does it seem like the other person is interested? Could I have potentially said anything differently that would have been more funnier? And the chances are perhaps you could have said something differently and your friend might suggest something else to say. But before you write whatever your friend says, just make sure it aligns with who you are. Does it feel and sound right for you? Because if it doesn't, you probably shouldn't share it, because the chances are, yes, you might get the match, but then you might beat the person in real life. And if the person in real life starts to think, actually, you're someone different, you're not that person she was texting, again, that conversation is going to break away and the date will lead to nowhere. So I would focus more on, does this sound real for me? And if the person, your friend, suggests something to you to say, before you write it out, get them to write it out for you, and then you rephrase it in the way that you would speak it out. And if the way you speak it out feels right for you, text it to that person. And what you should be doing as you're texting this person is that it should be coming from a place within you where it feels real, feels authentic for yourself. And it's okay to mess up on texting. It's okay to not know what to say. It's okay to say something stupid, because the key thing here is practicing being more and more real. And the more real you are, the more you're likely to meet your ideal partner. So, I mentioned a few things here. I've mentioned the aspect of overthinking, the aspect of being social, living your life, being immersed in your real life and not just in texting and dating, but equally creating some space for it, whether it be 1 hour in the evenings or sometime in the weekends. I've also mentioned the aspect of being present, being mindful, practicing meditation, so you're texting from a place of less detachment and less overthinking, and being in a place of being present, essentially. And I've also mentioned reaching out for help from people that you trust, but making sure that the responses that you give are authentic to yourself. If any of this has aligned with you, if it's resonated with you, let me know. If you've got other tips that you suggest, then post them down below. There are many things that you could be doing, and there are many things that work for many other people. But if you're dedicated and you're focused on finding someone who aligns to yourself, to aligns and matches your personality, and if you're really focused on being real with yourself and improving day to day, then these are 3 tips that I highly suggest that you implement going forward right now. Let me know what you've thought about the video. Comment down below. Share the video with anyone you think will benefit from it. Like, subscribe. It does get the message out to more people. As you do that, it gets this video seen by more people. And if you really think this video can help people, can change people's life, make sure you do those things, because it will get more views on this video, which will help more people see it. My name's Jag. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next video.